Welcome to the Westcott Crochet channel and welcome back to the 80s with this batwing sweater. If there is a written pattern, the link will be in the description box. For this project, my yarn recommended a 4mm hook. I used a 4.5mm for the main body and a 3.5mm for the ribbing. I also used a tape measure, stitch markers and a yarn needle to weave in the ends. I'd really like to keep the projects coming, so please help to improve my reach by subscribing, hitting the like button and sharing the link with any crocheting friends. You can now also follow me on Instagram, and if your account is set to public, do please tag me on any pictures of your Westcott crochet projects. For this project, I'll be creating this shape, which is the entirety of one side of the sweater, starting on one side at the cuff, working all the way across to the cuff on the opposite side. I've broken the construction down into sections 1 to 7, which you can see here. Start by taking 2 measurements. You may need a little help from measurement A. Stand with your arms outstretched and measure from one wrist, all the way up the arm, all the way across the back, down the other arm and across to the other wrist. For measurement B, this is literally just the width that you want your sweater to be in the body section. Bear in mind, you need at least half the circumference of the widest part of your body. Add on any extra for a looser fit. So on to section 1. Take your measurement A and deduct your measurement B. Divide the result by 2. The answer is the length you're going to work for section 1. Starting today with my 4.5mm hook, slip knot, and a chain that is just slightly wider than my forearm. It needs to be an uneven number. I'm going to chain 17. 17 chains. Extra one to turn, and I'm going to turn over my chain and into the back bumps. I'll be working my stitches. So second back bump, because the first one is the turning chain, I'm going to work a single crochet. I'm going to chain 1, skip 1 on the chain, single crochet into the next. And again, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next. I'm going to do that all the way to the end. Here at the end, I've chained 1, I'm going to skip 1, and I'm going to insert into the last stitch for the last single crochet. I'll pull back my loop and stop there. And here I'm going to introduce collar number 2, which is this red shade. Pull a loop through to finish the stitch. Whoops, and just, I'll tie these 2 ends off, but not right now. So I'm going to chain 1. Just tighten that up for now. And I'm going to turn around. So into stitch number 1, I'm going to work a single crochet. And then I have the chain 1 space, and beneath it is the back loop that I skipped. I'm going to be working into that back loop. And I'm going to work an extended double crochet. So yarn over, insert into that back loop, pull back a loop, and I'm working around the chain 1 and into the skipped loop. So pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop only, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 for the extended double crochet. Into the next stitch, a single crochet, into the next back loop that I missed on the row prior, another extended double crochet. So it's a little fiddly on this first row, just picking up those back loops, but after that it's a lot easier. So again, extended double, yarn over for the extended double, insert through the stitch and pull back a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 1 loop only, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's the extended double. I'm going to do that the whole way down, so single on top of the single, extended double, picking up the skipped loop from row 1, and I'll be back at the end. Here at the end, I've worked an extended double, and I'm going to put my last single crochet on top of that single crochet at the end. And that's the end of that row. Chain 1 to start the next one and turn. Single crochet into the top of the first single crochet. Chain 1. Skip over that double, extended double. Single crochet on top of the single crochet. Chain 1. Skip 1, single crochet on top of the single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1. That's going to be the story the whole way across. And then here at the end, in for the final single crochet, pull back a loop, stop there. I'm going to drop my working yarn to the front, pick up the grey yarn that I dropped before, and just loosely pull that through to finish the stitch. Just tighten up the red. Chain 1 and turn. So again, same as I did before, I'm going to now single crochet on top of the single crochet and then an extended double into the stitch that was missed before. So not the chain, not the space, the stitch below it. So in through there for an extended double crochet. Single on top of the single, extended double into the bottom stitch that was missed on the last row, all the way across to the end. I've worked all the way to the end in the grey, and on the grey rounds for this section 1, I'm going to end the first row with a chain 3. The last chain is a turn chain. Into the second chain, I'm going to work a single crochet. Then I'm going to chain 1, skip the first chain that I added. So I've worked 3 chains out. I've got turning chain, single crochet, and skipping the third one. And I'll single crochet back into the main body, which would otherwise have been stitch number 1. So I've just made a little extension there. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet on top of the single crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet on top of the single crochet, all the way back. And change colour at the end. Here at the end, just worked half of my last single crochet, drop my working yarn in front, pull up my secondary colour up in the back, just pulling that to tighten up a little bit, and we're on to the red again. With the red, I'm just going to go there and back without any increase. So I'll chain 1, turn around, and I'll just work single crochet on top of single, extended double into the stitch that was missed, all the way along, and I'll be back when I get to the end here. So I'm here at the end. I've just worked a single crochet into what would have been the last stitch had I not worked this little extension. I'm going to work an extended double into the chain that I missed, which was the second chain, the first chain of the chain of 3. So work the extended double into there. Just hang on to this little extension bit so it doesn't get all tied up. And then single crochet into the last single crochet. So you've worked in that extension bit with the next row. Chain 1, turn around, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, all the way back to the end. Here at the end of the row, I've just changed colour back to the grey. So that's the repeat now from here for section 1. With the grey, I will do the single crochet, extended double, single crochet, extended double, all the way to the end, where I'll chain 3 to extend. I'll turn around into the second chain as a single crochet, chain 1, into the main body of the work, and then back to a single crochet there, chain 1, and single crochet, chain 1, all the way back. And with the red, same deal, single crochet, extended double, single crochet, extended double, all the way to the end, no extension on the red, just chain 1 and turn, and then single crochet, skip one, chain one, single crochet, skip one, chain one, the whole way back. I'll be back when I get to the length that I need. I'm back with a first half of the first sleeve. This is just the front or back side, doesn't really matter which. So this is the top of the sleeve, and here is the underarm. I've worked an extra 2 stitches with each grey row 1. So I started with 17 and I've added 28 stitches over the course of the sleeve. I've now got 55. From here, I still need to work on the sleeve for the top, but I'm done with the underarm section. I need to go down now to the full length of the sweater. This next section, section 2, is then worked for the full length down to the bottom, all the way back up until I reach at the top here my shoulder, or just onto the shoulder as per the diagram. For section 2 now, in addition to working down towards the length of the sweater, this section also extends the top of the sleeve so that it can just reach on top of the shoulder. So not right on top of the shoulder, but just catching the edge of the top of the shoulder. So I'm going to chain now down to the bottom for the full length. So make sure you end your sleeve on your secondary colour, so you can then work your primary colour all the way down. And I'm going to chain 22 to get the full length. I need an even number of chains at this point to make sure that I end up with an uneven number overall. So same for me, 22. Chains, extra 1 to turn. I'm going to flip my chain, and from the second back bump, single crochet, and here it's just the standard row 2, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. All the way down. I've worked down my chain and arriving back at the main body, the sleeve basically. The last chain is the chain that I skip. I've chained 1. So I'm back onto the regular work, just single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet. I worked all the way to the end with the grey, and I've come back with the red for row 1 of the red. And here at the new section, I'm back to essentially what I was doing on row 1, where I'm keeping the pattern going, but I have to pick up the back loops of my start chain just for this new section. So same thing, single crochet, extended double, but I'm picking out the back loops from the start chain down to the bottom. So I've gone all the way down to the end and all the way back with the red. I'm back onto the grey. I'm going to keep swapping now and just doing pairs of rows, no further increases for either colour, just to work the entirety of section 2. I'll be back then. I'm back. I'm just side on here, so this is the length of the jumper, the sweater, and this is the shoulder. So this section now reaches my shoulder. I've finished section 2 and I'm on to section 3. For section 3 now, here I'm working reductions from the top to create a scoop for the neckline. I'll be working 8 reductions. If you want a deeper scoop, work more reductions. For a more shallow scoop, work fewer reductions. Switch to the grey, and I'm going to start working decreases now for the next scoop. So chain 1 to start, and the first 2 stitches I'm going to work as 1. So single crochet and the extended double as 1 stitch. So in through the stitch, pull back a loop to start the single crochet, then yarn over to start the extended double, in through the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the remaining 3, and that works the 2 stitches as 1. From here I'm back to the normal pattern, single crochet, extended double, all the way down to the bottom. I'll come back with single crochet, chain 1, skip 1. I'll meet you back at the top here. Here at the end of the return row on the grey, I've got 3 stitches left on my row. I've just worked a single crochet. I'm going to chain 1, skip the first of the 3 stitches and work the last 2 together. So into the stitch, pull back a loop, into the second stitch, pull back a loop, yarn over in secondary colour and pull through to finish that off. Chain 1 and turn. So this is the story for section 3, just decreases 1 in each direction at the top only, both colours this time, and I'm going to work 8 decreases in total. So that was 2 for the grey, and I'm going to work 2 now for the red, and then both again. So I've chained 1 to turn. I'm going to go in through stitch number 1, pull back a loop for the single crochet, yarn over for the extended double, in through the stitch, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 3 loops. And that's the decrease on that way. On the way back, the last 2 stitches work together. So as I say, for me, I'm going to do 8 decreases in total. That's now 3, 5 more to do. The rest of the stitches just as normal. I've worked my 8 decreases. I've got a nice little scoop slope for the neck. I'm now going to move on to section 4, where I'll just work straight across. So up and down, no more decreases for the whole of section 4. For section 4, measure across the width of your sections 2 and 3 and then double it. Section 4 must now make up the difference to create measurement B from earlier. To maintain symmetry, section 4 must start and end with the same colour. Work as closely as you can towards achieving measurement B with this in mind. I've worked the entire width for section 4 onto section 5. And for section 5, I need to slope back up over here. Section 5 is simply a mirror of section 3, where I worked decreases for section 3 and now work increases for section 5. I already chained 1 to start the next row. I'm going to simply put 2 single crochets into the same stitch. Then I'm back to an extended double and follow the pattern as normal. All the way down and all the way back up again. At the end of the return row, I've got 3 stitches left. I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the penultimate stitch, chain 1. I haven't technically got one to skip. I'm just going to put a single crochet into the last stitch, which I'll finish up in the second colour. So that was 2 increases on the red rows. I'm going to do 2 increases again on the grey rows. I've just chained 1 and turned around. I'm going to put 2 single crochets into the first stitch, and then I'm going to find a loop to work my extended double in. It's not technically a skipped stitch, but there is a loop in there to pop that stitch. Next one's a single, and then so on. And that's the same for 8 increases now. So that was 3. I'll come back and work an extra one with the chain 1 and the single crochet at the end. And that works 2 for the grey. I'm going to work 8 in total because I had 8 reductions over on the other side. So 8 over here to match. Make sure you don't pull your yarns too tight, otherwise it's going to cause it to curve in. And about when I've worked 8 increases. That's after 8 increases. Now matches or mirrors what I have over here. I'm now going to work section 6, where it's just straight up and down to complete the width of the body. Section 6 is a mirror of section 2, so work the exact same number of rows as you worked for section 2. So I've chained 1 to turn, single crochet into the first stitch, and then I've got to just pick up a bottom loop again. So I'm just going to pull the side of that single crochet across and just pick up this loop here. Not in this direction, but just to show you the loop. I'm just picking up this loop here for the extended double, as I did for the increased rows. And then I'm just back to normal from here. I'll work up and down to complete section 6. And finally section 7, which is just a mirror image of section 1. Where I worked increases in section 1, I'll now work decreases for section 7. Completed my section 6, ending on a single grey row. I've chained one at the end, and I can now cut my yarn and pull that through. Over on the other side, after that single grey row, I chained 22 for the full body length. I've counted up 22. This is my 22nd stitch that I've marked. So into stitch number 23, I'm going to add on a slip knot and reattach. Chain 1 to secure. And I just need to turn around into that same stitch that I've just attached into 23. Single crochet, chain 1, single crochet after skipping 1, same as always. All the way up to the top, change to red, work down to this new stop point in the red, all the way back up to the top, change to the grey, work all the way back down again, and I'll be back there. Okay, so here's where I joined. I worked up with my grey, pair of rows in the red, back down with the grey, and I'm here at the final 4 stitches. And here I have to start doing the decreases for the slope for the sleeve. So final 4 stitches, I'm going to work 2 together each time. So I've just worked a single crochet, I go in for the extended double, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then I go into the single crochet, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 3, and then again in for the extended double, pull back a loop, pull through 1, pull through 2, leave 2 loops left on the hook, in for the single, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's the decrease. Chain 1 and turn around. Turned around, I'm going to put 1 single crochet into the first stitch, chain 1, skip 1, single into the next. All sorted. So that's the decreases. That's what happens on the grey row. Just on row 1, the last 4 stitches, work together 2 at a time, then back up as normal. Then the red, no increases, no decreases, just straight up and down, or down and up. And then again decrease on the grey. I had 17 stitches when I started. Over on my start chain, I should have 17 stitches when I finish, having worked the same length of sleeve. Here at the end of the sleeve, I was back down to 17 stitches at this grey row, and then I added an extra pair of red and a single grey just to finish that off, so it's exactly the same as the start. So that all done, I've chained one already. I can cut my yarn, whip that through, just got to tie off the red, cut that, pull it through. Now I've got an entire front panel. I need to do everything all over again for the back panel, exactly the same. I have 2 identical pieces now, and the good sides, the bits that are going to face outside, are facing each other on the inside so that I can work a seam on the outside. So this is the top of the arm, and just before it starts to slope down, I'm going to start my seam there. So here's the first decrease in the grey, so I'm going in through the red. In on one side, in on the other. And it's important that the grey, the carrying yarn, is on top of the stitches. So pop on a slip knot, pull that through, and chain one. Okay, so in each red section I'm going to put 2 slip stitches. So I've joined my yarn at one side of the red section, so moving over to the other side, in through both sides, making sure that the grey loop is on top there, on top of my stitch. Yarn over and slip stitch carefully, so don't pull it too tight. Chain 2 in through the next red section, make sure the grey's on top, into the next red section on the other side, grey on top, and slip stitch. Keep going like that. End of the next red section. Oops, just poking anywhere, just making sure the grey's on top, and slip stitch. Chain 2, skip over the grey, start of the next red section, start of the red on the other side, and slip stitch, and then end of the red, somewhere in there, end of the red on the other side, and slip stitch. I'm just going to work that way the whole way down. Just whilst you're working your seam, just keep taking a little look and make sure that you're not showing grey through your red sections. You can still see the red obviously on the grey because that hasn't been worked yet, but make sure you can't see the grey where it's red. Worked all the way to the end of my sleeve. Make sure you're happy with your seam. Chain 1 to secure, cut and pull that through. Now I need to go back again and do the grey seam. So back to the beginning, back to the sloped section, just the beginning of. I'm actually in the end of the grey section. So here's the grey rows where I started the slope. I'm just in at this, well, I guess it's the start point of that 2 rows. On with the grey yarn, oops, pull through a slip knot. Got lots of ends all over the place. Chain 1 to secure. And pull that tight. I'm just going to put a little slip stitch in there just to make sure that I've got that nice and secure. And then I'm going to chain 2. And same thing, I'm going to pick up loops of the grey at the start and the end. And whilst doing so, I need to make sure that my red loop, the trailing loops, are caught up in there. So you definitely want to start with the shoulders first along the tops of the arms, because then you can take a look easily on the inside and make sure that you've grabbed up your trailing loops. The bottom section doesn't have the trailing loop, so you don't need to check on those. So just carefully pick your way across, slip stitching twice into the grey section, chain twice over the red, back to the grey, and just periodically check and make sure that you've picked up your red loops on the inside. I've come in just a little bit closer just so that I can show you how I'm picking up these red loops, making sure they don't show up on the grey side. So on the grey, I should have the chain 2 and 2 trailing loops for the red. So if I haven't got those 2 loops and the red, I need to just go and dig them out and maybe push them up from the other side. But once you've got them, give them a little bit of a yoink up, and then make sure that your stitches go beneath them. And then you should be good on the other side. So here my last stitch in the grey is the single crochet at the end of row 1. chain 1 to secure and cut my yarn. Here's what my seam looks like on the right side. Red seamed up in red, grey seamed up in grey, and you can't see either of the other in between. Here on the underside of the arm, despite the slope, it's actually a bit easier, it's less fiddly because you don't have the trailing yarns to hide. So, very similar, except for no trailing yarns. I'm going to go in through the bottom stitch on both sides, pull through a slip knot and chain 1, and then into the bottom of that red section and slip stitch. And this time I'm going to chain 3 to cover the grey, and then again slip stitch into the top of the red section, slip stitch into the bottom, and chain 3. I'll do that all the way along. The end of your red seam, check your seam on the right side, make sure all is well, chain 1 to secure and cut your yarn. Back now to the grey follow-up seam, in through the bottom corner of the cuff, both sides, on with a slip knot, pull it through and chain 1. Just going to put another stitch in there to make sure we've got it. Just a slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to work 3 stitches along the grey. So just picking up loops on each side and making sure that your red chain is of course on top. Oops, can't get any loops, there we go. And slip stitch. So once at the beginning, once somewhere in the middle, both sides, and slip stitch. Once somewhere at the end. There's no specific place to stick your hook, just anywhere at the end there, both sides, and slip stitch. Then chain 2 and on again. Beginning, middle, end, chain 2, beginning, middle, end, all the way to the underarm. So here's what the right side of the underarm seam should look like, nice and tidy. I'm going to just seam up the side now from where I've left off. Okay, so that's the faffy part of the seaming up over. There's the seam that I've just worked, and I'm here at the underarm section, and here's the 22 chains that I worked out for the length of the sweater. So I'm just going to literally slip stitch these 22 chains together. So in through stitch number 1 on one side, in through stitch number 2 on the other side, and slip stitch. And just do that all the way down, matching stitch for stitch. So into the next one, into the next one, slip stitch. Make sure you don't pull your slip stitches too tight. Make sure you pick one up on each side. And down at the bottom, chain 1 to secure and cut your yarn. And work the same seam on the other side. Moving on to a neckline now. My hook is inserted into the centre of the back. Back and front is both the same at this point, so this is now the back. I've just gone through the centre of the grey section, stick on a slip knot, pull that through and chain 1. Then I'm going to single crochet in that same spot, and then I'm going to single crochet into the section where the red meets the grey. Aim for the middle of the red, single crochet, and where the 2 meet, I'll stick another one. Centre of the grey, 2 colours meet, all the way around. So I've worked up the first quarter and I'm at the shoulder now. I'm going to put 1 in the shoulder, right on that seam, And then again I'm back to centre, join, centre, join. I've worked all the way around the neckline and I've slip stitched into the very first single crochet that I worked. I've switched here to a 3.5mm hook. And from here I'm going to work back post, front post alternating stitches. So I do a quick count with my stitches and make sure I've got an even number. If I had an odd number, I'd just work these last two stitches together to form one to create an even number. I have an even number, so I'm all good. So from here, I can chain 3, and that counts as my first double crochet. And I said I'm going to work back post, front post, so not the regular stitches in the tops of, around the actual post of the stitch. So front post is the next one, first one I'm going to do. So yarn over for the double, in around the post, pushing it forward, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 for a regular double. Then I'm going to work a back post, so I can come in from the back, pushing the post back, and finish the double crochet. Again, front post, and then back post, and just alternate the whole way around. When you get back to here, you should be working a front post and then slip stitch into the top of your chain 3. I'm actually going to work a standing double as opposed to the chain 3 start, just because I prefer it that way, but if you don't want to, then don't do that. So for me, standing double, just pull up my loop, the height of a double crochet, plant my finger on the loop, wrap it around my hook to form a loop. I'm going to work a front post, so in and around the post of the stitch that I was just in, pull back a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 whilst keeping my finger on that loop. Now I can let go and pull through the last 2. So then the next one is a back loop, and then front, and back, and so on. And then I'll slip stitch into the top of my standing double to close the round. Gone all the way around with my first round of back post, front post double crochet. I had actually miscounted and I did have an uneven number somehow, so I just skipped the last post so that I'm ending on the right post, because it needs to go back post, front post, back post, front post, right across the seam. So I skipped one and nobody need know, except I just told you. So anyway, I'm going to turn around and I'll come back. Okay, so I'm all turned around. I'm going to work another round of back post, front post. I'm not sure how many rounds I'm going to do yet. I'll let you know when I'm done. And I'm going to come at it from a different direction each time. So I'm coming at it from the inside now. So I'm going to start with a standing double. If you're chaining 3, chain 3, and your next one is around the next post. And where the posts are pushed forward, keep them forward. And where the posts are pushed backwards, keep them backwards. So I just need to pull up my loop, my standing double. Whoops, got hooked up there. In around my post, pull back my loop, and make the double, and drop my loop. Okay, next one's a front post, so pushing it forward, back post, pushing it back, and so on, all the way around, where I will have an even number of stitches this time, and I'll slip stitch into the first stitch, or the third chain if you're chaining 3. Then I'll just change direction again and keep going around and round until I get as many rows as I need. I worked 4 rounds on the neckline, and then I added 4 rounds to each cuff. So the cuffs had regular stitches. I had 17 down one side, 17 down the other, and I put 1 in each seam as well. And then again, just as I say, 4 rounds of back post, front post double crochet all the way around. So bottom next. I've just flipped myself around, so this is the bottom edge. Inserted my hook in the centre at the back. I'm going to put on a slip knot and back to the 4.5mm hook just for this one round of single crochet, and then I'll complete the back post, front post in the 3.5mm. So on with a slip knot, pull it through, chain 1, Then I'm going to single crochet into the same spot or thereabouts, and then at the join of the two colours, in the middle, at the join, one in each seam, all the way around. After 8 rounds on the bottom, I'm going to call that done. I'm going to chain 1 to secure my work, cut my yarn and weave in all of my ends. If you followed along with all of that, you should have something like this. Do let me know how you got on in the comments section. Thanks to everyone out there who's supporting the channel, and thanks for watching today.